Hey everyone, my name's Nick.
And I'm Ray, and today we are back. I know it's been a minute, but we're back to the Wheel of Time, Book 5. This is our short review, spoiler free, where we just give our thoughts on this book as a whole, if we enjoyed it, if not. And here's a little bit of a sneak peek. I love it. Anyways, with that, let's get to it.
Yeah, so we're going to be rating this book's plot and story, character development, world building, and great and memorable moments on a scale of 0 to 10. And then at the end, we'll give you our recommendation on whether we think you should read this or not.
So with that, let's go ahead and start. If you want to lead us into the first category there, Nick.
Yeah, first category, plot and story. This one is extremely good. We have three different main storylines going on here, and they're all pretty fantastic.
I gotta say, honestly, The Wheel of Time as a whole does really well with plot, I think. But this one really took what the last book built and expanded upon it really well. I think the plot went in a direction and a very proper pace, if you will. And the story as a whole, the plot arc for this book, was phenomenal. I loved it. I loved it.
I totally agree. And the thing that I really liked about this one's plot and story as well is there is a point where a battle finishes in this book, and I could have conceivably seen Robert Jordan ending the book there, but he didn't. And we got like a whole nother quarter to maybe a third of a book after that, and it still felt really good. A lot of amazing stuff happened, and it ended really well. So
yeah, truly the pacing of this book was phenomenal. I mean, like we said, spoiler free, but I totally agree with you. The book could have ended right there. But just the build up to it, what happens, and then everything that happens afterwards is also, you're like, I thought that was the shit for it. But then at the ending, you're like, oh, whoa, hold on. There's, a lot of impactful moments. There's a lot of impactful things to the actual overarching plot and story as a whole in this book, and it just executes it all so well, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna give this one a 9 out of 10.
Honestly, I'd give this one probably 9.5 personally out of 10. And that leads us into our next category. What do we have next, Nick?
Character development.
I'll start on this one a little bit. My boy Matt, a lot of good character development, but also good old Jason Natale.
Yeah.
Asmodine. Honestly, I really love what they did with him in this book. And again, no spoilers, which sucks, but we'll get into it in our long overview. But everything they did with his character, I loved, just straight up. I thought he was my standout character this book.
I totally agree. So in this book, you do not get a single chapter of Perrin, which is a little sad, but he got a lot of love in the last book, and I don't miss him that much, to be honest, in everything that happens in this one. So yeah, I think it's really good. I have some issues with a couple of characters, the way they're developing, but that's mostly just me not liking their characters, not necessarily that the character development is bad. So I think that this is really good. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It could have got a 10 out of 10 if somehow Perrin was included, but it's okay. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I think with the exclusion of Perrin, I mean, he's obviously one of the paramount characters of the series, right? It did suck that he wasn't in it, but it makes sense for the story arc of this. And with that, his exclusion isn't why I'll give this a 10 out of 10, but rather the character development of some of our others. Nynaeve. With that, I mean, I get it. And just with that, I'll give it a 9 out of 10 as well. I just don't like it's still a little sludgy for me on the character development for some of these characters.
I can see that.
But Matt, Rand, Jason, well, Asmodine, all of them stand out. And even Moraine's character development, I think, here is a standout too. Just with her dealing with Rand, learning how everything goes on. So yeah, I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, our next category, world building.
I mean, there's only one answer here for me, a 10. I mean, to give a little bit of detail on it, I think last book really opened the world. It opened the door. This book takes the step through that door and looks around, and with the way everything plays into each other, all the different cultures now playing together. The world building here is just phenomenal. I think it's the best in the series. So this is a straight 10 for me.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to also give it a 10. And I think you're totally right. The last book obviously went from Tyr to the Aiel Waste via Portal Stone. And this book really just brings everything physically together. So it just does a fantastic job. So yeah, I'm agreeing with you there. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. We'll give way more details on the world building, but we can't go into it without spoilers because that's where like a lot of juicy stuff is. So stay tuned for our long form review on that if you want more information.
Yes. Next category, great/memorable moments. I'm going to say this one had a ton of them. I love this book for its moments. There is one specific moment that Matt has that is in my top 3 for the entire series out of every single book. And other characters just have a ton of cool stuff happening to them pretty much at all times. It's great. I think it's great. I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10 as well.
For great moments? I mean, yeah, honestly, you're more of a fan of Matt than I am in general.
I am.
You're a bit of a Matt stan, which... I mean, who isn't? But this book had so many standout moments for him. And, last book really got his character development rolling, right? In this book, I think really he starts to become his own man. And the moments every step of the way is phenomenal. Rand with Jason, I mean, those were just fun for me to read almost every time. With Moraine and Rand, same thing. It was fun for me to read. Big moments. All the big moments in this were just fun. Nothing felt slow. It wasn't like, oh, let me skip this paragraph here or anything. You know, it was like, no, I want to read it. So yeah, I'd give it a 10 out of 10 as well here too for great and memorable moments. Yeah.
And now I had, just to kind of specify, I had said Matt has my favorite moment in this, but yeah, Rand also has so many good ones.
You're a Matt,
especially
man, it's fine.
I am. He's my favorite character. I don't think that's debatable. But yes, Rand also has a lot of really good ones. His madness really coming through in this book, and I think it's really fun.
Yeah. And what does that leave us with?
Now our overall score.
Overall score, huh? I'm going to preface this with objectively, I don't think it's the best book in the series. I think that would go to The Shadow Rising, personally. I think that one's written the best.
Okay.
With that, this is my favorite book in the series. So subjectively, I put this at number 1. It's a 10 out of 10 for me, just straight up. Objectively, though, I do think number 4 could be considered better. But I give it the 10, my opinion. So, boom.
Yes. I probably would have. After rereading this book again, I had quite a few issues with reading Nynaeve's character. I had a really tough time with it. And I think it just might have been the mood I was in while reading this book, because I've read this book multiple times and I've never had this big of an issue before with her. But I found it... Yeah, I found it really difficult to read her portions. So that did... And look, it's really tough because the rest of the book and even things that happen with her are so good. But I think I'm going to give it a 9.75 because of that. The only reason I give it... Yeah, no. It's the only reason I'm still keeping it in my first place position above The Shadow Rising, but not by much. I think on it depends on the day that I would read the two. Yeah. I might find one of them better than the other. But yeah, so I can't give this one a 10 out of 10 because of how hard it was for me to read Nynaeve's moments at times. But it's still, I think, the best book in the series, and it's still amazing. So
that is fair. So overall, I give it a 10, you a 9.75. I'll end my commentary on this book, my thoughts, with it is my favorite book in the series for a reason. If you've read The Wheel of Time at all, say you gave up on book 1, just power through to book 5 at the very least, because book 4 and 5, man, it hits different. If you have read, but you've not read book 5, say if you've read books 1 through 4, have fun with book 5. It's a fun book. Yeah. And if you've read all the books, reread book 5. You know what we're talking about. Yeah. So
yes, I would say, just to bring it back, I would recommend this book if you've read the first 4, of course.
Strong recommendation.
So with that, everyone, thank you for watching.
This has been Nick and Ray. Catch you later.